now on WECT News at 5.
I was a little stunned that a report like that had gone on and that there had been no more mention made to the board about that.
Board members of CFPUA left in the dark about toxins in your drinking water. The executive director knew months ago.
Our lives were saved by the Capitol Hill Police. Had they not been there, I think it would have been a massacre.
New details from a shooting at a congressional baseball practice. We have a condition update on the congressman shot. And a dozen people killed in an inferno in London, the latest from the overnight apartment fire.
And we are tracking some strong thunderstorms across southeastern North Carolina at this hour. Even one warning near the area. I'll tell you where it is. WECT News at 5 starts now.
Where news comes first. WECT News begins now with breaking news.
All right, we do have some breaking news. Police from 2 departments on the scene of a possible bank robbery. WECT's Alex Gareno is live now at the PNC Bank on Eastwood Road at Wrightsville Beach. Are officers releasing any information, Alex?
Fran, I actually just talked to an officer about 30 seconds ago, and he told me all they know right now is that just after 3 o'clock, a man came into the PNC Bank, jumped to the counter, and grabbed money from behind the counter. Right now, they have said that they don't know if any weapon was involved, but they don't think so. No one was hurt, and one customer was in the bank at the time. So as you can see behind me, the scene is pretty calm right now. Just a few officers patrolling the area, but Wrightsville Beach Police has tweeted out that they are looking for a white male around 5'8" who is wearing a black ball cap and a hoodie. We'll have much more details as they become available, but for now, live in Wrightsville Beach, Alex Gareno, WECT News.
New details just in on the Gen X water investigation. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality now says it will lead a state investigation regarding reports of the unregulated chemical in the Cape Fear River and our drinking water. The Chemours company on the Bladen County line produces Gen X. The DEQ says it strongly encourages Chemours to find ways to reduce or eliminate dumping the chemical. State regulators will collect water samples from the Cape Fear River for testing at Chemours' expense. Blindsided and stunned, Cape Fear Public Utility Board members described the moment they heard Gen X was in our drinking water. WECT's Connor Del Preet discovered they found out around the same time we did. Connor, the executive director, says his staff knew about the toxin last fall, but not the board. Why wasn't the board informed?
Well, that's the same question board member Charlie Rivenbark asked in county emails. Executive Director Jim Fleschner says only within the last few weeks have they started to fully understand the history of that chemical. Board member Patricia Cusick tells me she was disappointed she didn't find out sooner. She and the rest of the board got an email from Fleschner hours after the Star News report. I gave Chairman Mike Brown the chance to clarify why the board found out 7 months after that study was published. He told me to email any more questions I had, and in its response, CFPUA said it takes part in studies like this on a regular basis, and they followed, quote, normal protocol. Now, we know several of you feel like there's still been a lack of communication from water officials, so I pressed Chairman Brown for answers. I figured while I have you, I think people are just wondering that if you guys knew about this back in November, then why they're just finding out about it now after Star News reported on it. They would probably want to hear from you guys first about it. So
yeah, and we're going to release more information on that. You know, this whole thing has been an evolving process, evolving due diligence process. So all of that due diligence collectively have led us to where we are today. That's how I'd answer that question.
Now, I continued to press for answers, and Brown abruptly ended the interview, claiming he never agreed to make more than one comment. We'll show you that raw video tonight at 6. Fran?
All right, thanks, Connor. New details tonight. We now know who will go behind closed doors for a meeting between your leaders and Chemours officials. Some of the names on the invite list include politicians and health officials from 3 counties, as well as state environmental authorities and local utility companies. The meeting will happen at 11:30 tomorrow morning, followed by a news conference at 1:15. Stay with WECT for the latest updates on that. Visitors to downtown Wilmington are welcomed with a warning. Someone put bottles of water with a strong message along the river telling visitors not to drink the water. WECT's Tess Bargeber spoke with tourists about the bottles. Tess, some told you it was unsettling?
That's right, Fran. For those who hadn't heard of Gen X, they said it was a little concerning, but some paid no mind to the skull and crossbones warning. Now take a look. I found at least 3 of these downtown today, and no one I spoke with seemed to know where they came from. Some visitors I spoke to say that they aren't taking the warning seriously. Lynn Shoemaker with Women Organizing for Wilmington says she supports that message and that tourism and real estate are 2 of Wilmington's driving forces. She hopes hotels and other riverfront businesses would oppose Gen X as well.
I think the message is more letting more people know that our water is contaminated for their safety purposes, but also to put some pressure on the people that represent us to do the right thing.
And a representative with Wilmington's Tourism Bureau says that they weren't aware of the bottles and that they haven't gotten any calls from visitors with concerns about Gen X. Fran?
All right, thanks so much. For Aqua NC customers concerned, we can tell you your water does not come from the river. According to the website, the Wilmington area is served in part by the Castle Hayne Aquifer. In addition, Aqua North Carolina purchases water from other utilities to resell to its customers. Now, we have these stories and more on the Gen X investigation right now on our website. Go to WECT.com and click on the Gen X banner for the latest updates and information. And we can tell you that right now on our Facebook page, we are doing a Facebook Live with a UNCW professor, a professor of biology, Larry Cahoon, who says you should be drinking bottled water. You can listen in right now on the WECT Facebook page. Continuing coverage now, politicians on a baseball field become targets in an early morning shooting. Several Republican members of Congress were ambushed while practicing for a charity game. One of the 5 wounded is the House Majority Whip. As they recover and the investigation continues, the suspect is dead after being shot by police. NBC's Jay Gray has the latest now from Alexandria, Virginia.
Just after 7 this morning.
Shots being fired, and there are people running, possibly victims involved.
The rattle of gunfire replaces the crack of a bat.
I still got shots being fired.
An attack on Republican congressmen as they practice for a charity baseball game.
We were doing batting practice, and all of a sudden we heard shots, and it was clear pretty quickly that there was a shooter there with a high-powered rifle.
Police say that shooter was 66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson, a man with a violent criminal history. Witnesses say he sprayed the field with bullets, firing dozens of rounds.
He was crouched behind a wooden piece of the stands, and he had a AK-47.
At least 5 people were hit.
We have another one down. I think it was a total of 5 down. We will need another back.
Among the wounded, House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. As a member of congressional leadership, he had a security detail, Capitol Police, who rushed in, engaged in a firefight that lasted several minutes.
The security detail saved a lot of lives.
Hodgkinson died as a result of wounds from the gun battle. Federal agents are now searching his home in Belleville, Illinois, and remain at the scene of the attack, trying to piece together how and why it happened.
As the investigation continues, congressional leaders announced this afternoon that charity baseball game between the Democrats and Republicans will continue as well. It is tomorrow night at Nationals Field. Jay Gray, NBC News, Alexandria, Virginia.
We've learned one of the officers who traded gunfire with the shooter is from our state. Capitol Police Officer David Bailey is a graduate of North Carolina Central University. Bailey was with Scalise when Hodgkinson opened fire. Authorities say Bailey and another officer are expected to survive. President Donald Trump called the officer's actions heroic. Local Congressman David Rouser is safe. He was not at the team practice today. He released this statement shortly after the shooting. Steve Scalise is one of the finest individuals I know. My thoughts and prayers are with him, his family, and all the other victims, including the Capitol Police, who are true and courageous professionals who put their lives on the line every day.
Well, we've had a pause recently in thunderstorm activity, but thunderstorm activity is picking up at least across parts of southeastern North Carolina. Been tracking some pretty strong thunderstorms in South Carolina. It looks like those storms will kind of miss us. They're kind of weakening as they push their way into Horry County, but a much stronger cluster of storms just to our north, Cumberland and Sampson County. We've had a couple of storms also making their way across Bladen County. Elizabethtown, you've seen some pretty heavy rain just in the last hour or so, and there is one severe thunderstorm warning which encompasses southern Cumberland County and western portions of Sampson County. That's in effect until 5:45 this evening. Right now, though, as we take a live view into Surf City, we're looking pretty good. 89 degrees, at least in Wilmington at this hour. Look at that feels like temperature, though, 97 degrees. The dew point, that measure of the humidity, well, the high humidity is back, and it looks like it is here to stay. The complete first alert forecast coming up in a few moments.
He's accused of murdering 2 women. Tomorrow, he goes to trial. James Bradley is charged with the murder of Shannon Rippey Van Newkirk in 2014. Her body was never found. Today, 12 jurors and 3 alternates were seated in Pender County. Bradley's trial date for the murder of Alicia Tucker has not yet been set. He has spent 25 years in prison for killing his 8-year-old stepdaughter in 1988. Do you know how to properly fold a flag, fly a flag, or what the colors of the flag represent? Visitors to the battleship learned of that today in honor of Flag Day. Members of American Legion Post 10 were aboard the ship giving flag flying lessons. Young patriots were able to put a flag and fly it more than 100 feet above the battleship. Representatives hope those who stopped by walked away with a new respect for Old Glory.
A sense of pride that I serve my country, and that's why I served it, so they can do what they want to do and go and come as they please.
Now, if you have a worn out or tattered flag you want to get rid of, don't just throw it away in the trash. There was a special ceremony at Oakdale Cemetery in Wilmington this morning to properly dispose of the American flag. The names of all 50 states are read, and there is no longer a flag once it is burned. New this year, an Eagle Scout made a special casket for the ashes of the flag. If you have a flag you'd like to get rid of, you can drop it off anytime at Oakdale Cemetery.
It's something that I think that everybody holds very dear to their hearts. I just wish that I would see more flags flying throughout the community, because then at that time we would have more flags to retire.
New charges tonight in the Flint water fiasco. Who is facing criminal charges now? And several employees shot, 4 of them dead. What we've learned about a shooting at a UPS facility.